Padstow is a town, civil parish and fishing port on the north coast of Cornwall, England, United Kingdom. The town is situated on the west bank of the River Camel estuary approximately 5 miles northwest of Wadebridge, 10 miles northwest of Bodmin and 10 miles northeast of Newquay. The population of Padstow civil parish was 3,162 in the 2001 census, reducing to 2,993 at the 2011 census. In addition, an electoral ward with the same name exists but extends as far as Trevose Head. The population for this ward is 4,434. History: Padstow was originally named Stow, or Petrock's Place, after the Welsh missionary Saint Petrock, who landed at Trevose around AD 500. After his death a monastery was established here which was of great importance until Petrose's Stow was raided by the Vikings in 981, according to the Anglo-Saxon Chronicle. Whether as a result of this attack or later the monks moved inland to Bodmin taking with them the relics of Saint Petrock. The cult of Saint Petrock was important both in Padstow and Bodmin. Padstow is recorded in the Domesday Book when it was held by Bodmin Monastery. There was land for 4 ploughs, 5 villeins who had 2 ploughs, 6 smallholders and 24 acres of pasture. It was valued at 10/. In the medieval period Padstow was commonly called Aldestow or Haleymouth. The modern Cornish form Llanwyd Henc derives from Llanwydd Enoch and in a simpler form appears in the name of the Lodenic Press, a publisher based in Padstow. The seal of the borough of Padstow was a ship with 3 masts, the sails furled and an anchor hanging from the bow, with the legend Padstow. Churches: the Church of St. Petrock is one of 4 said to have been founded by the saint, the others being Little Pedrick, Paracombe and Bodmin. It is quite large and mostly of 13th and 14th century date. There is a fine 15th century font of Catacluse P. The pulpit of circa 1530 is also of interest. There are 2 fine monuments to members of the Prideaux family. There is also a monumental brass of 1421. Maritime traffic: during the mid-19th century, ships carrying timber from Canada would arrive at Padstow and offer cheap travel to passengers wishing to emigrate. Shipbuilders in the area would also benefit from the quality of their cargoes. Among the ships that sailed were the barques Clio, Belle and Valuna, and the brig de Lucia. The approach from the sea into the River Camel is partially blocked by the Doom Bar, a bank of sand extending across the estuary which is a significant hazard to shipping and the cause of many shipwrecks. For ships entering the estuary, the immediate loss of wind due to the cliffs was a particular hazard, often resulting in ships being swept onto the Doom Bar. A manual capstan was installed on the west bank of the river and rockets were fired to carry a line to ships so that they could be winched to safety. There have been ferries across the Camel estuary for centuries and the current service, the Black Tor Ferry, carries pedestrians between Padstow and Rockdaly throughout the year. Economy: traditionally a fishing port, Padstow is now a popular tourist destination. Although some of its former fishing fleet remains, it is mainly a yachting haven on a dramatic coastline with few easily navigable harbours. The influence of restaurateur Stein can be seen in the port, and tourists travel from long distances to eat at his restaurant and café. Copyright S. However, the boom in the popularity of the port has caused house price inflation both in the port and surrounding areas, as people buy homes to live in, or as second or holiday homes. This has meant significant numbers of locals cannot afford to buy property in the area, with prices often well over 10 times the average salary of around £15,000. This has led to a population decline. Plans to build a skatey park in Padstow have been proposed and funds are being raised to create this at the recreation ground. Railway: from 1899 until 1967 Padstow railway station was the westernmost point of the former Southern Railway. The station was the terminus of an extension from Wadebridge of the former Bodmin and Wadebridge Railway and North Cornwall Railway. These lines were part of the London and South Western Railway, then incorporated into the Southern Railway in 1923 and British Railways in 1948, but were proposed for closure during the Beeching Acts of the 1960s. The LSWR promoted Padstow as a holiday resort. These companies were rivals to the Great Western Railway. Until 1964, Padstow was served by the Atlantic Coast Express a direct train service to from London but the station was closed in 1967. The old railway line is now the Camel Trail, a footpath and cycle path which is popular owing to its picturesque route beside the River Camel. One of the railway mileposts is now embedded outside the Shipwrights Arms public house on the harbour front. Today, the nearest railway station is at Bodmin Parkway, a few miles south of Bodmin. Western Greyhound operate buses to the station. Footpaths. The Southwest Coast Path runs on both sides of the River Camel estuary and crosses from Padstow to Rock via the Black Tor Ferry. The path gives walking access to the coast with Stepper Point and Trevose Head within an easy day's walk of Padstow. The Saints' Way long-distance footpath runs from Padstow to Fowey on the south coast of Cornwall. The Camel Trail cycleway follows the course of the former railway from Padstow. It is opening to walkers, cyclists and horse riders and suitable for disabled access. The 17.3-mile-long route leads to Wadebridge and onto Wenford Bridge and Bodmin, and is used by an estimated 400,000 users each year, generating an income of approximately £3 million a year. Culture Obios Festival Padstow is best known for its Obios Festival. Although its origins are unclear, it most likely stems from an ancient fertility rite, perhaps the Celtic festival of Beltane. The festival starts at midnight on May Eve when townspeople gather outside the Golden Lion Inn to sing the night song. By morning, the town has been dressed with greenery and flowers placed around the maypole. The excitement begins with the appearance of one of the obioses. Male dancers cavort through the town dressed as one of two obioses, the old, and the blue ribbon obioses. As the name suggests, they are stylized kinds of horses. Prodded on by acolytes known as teasers, each wears a mask and black frame-hung cape under which they try to catch young maidens as they pass through the town. Throughout the day, the two parades, led by the mayor in his top hat and decorated stick, followed by a band of accordions and drums, then the os and the teaser, with a host of people, all singing the morning song. 1. Pass along the streets of the town. Finally, late in the evening, the two osses meet, at the maypole, before returning to their respective stables where the crowd sings of the obios death, until its resurrection the following May Eve. Mummers or Darky Day on Boxing Day and New Year's Day, it is a tradition for some residents to don blackface and parade through the town singing minstrel songs. This is an ancient midwinter celebration that occurs every year in Padstow and was originally part of the pagan heritage of midwinter celebrations that were regularly celebrated all over Cornwall, where people would guise dance and disguise themselves by blackening up their faces or wearing masks. Recently the people of Penzance have revived its midwinter celebration with the Montrel Festival, which like Padstow at times would have had people darkening or painting their skin to disguise themselves as well as masking. Folklorists associate the practice with the widespread British custom of blacking up for mumming and morris dancing, and suggest there is no record of slave ships coming to Padstow. Once an unknown local charity event, the day has recently become controversial, perhaps since a description was published. Also some now suggest it is racist for white people to black up for any reason. Although outsiders have linked the day with racism, Padstonians insist that this is not the case and are incredulous at both description and allegations. Long before the controversy, Charlie Bate, noted Padstow folk advocate, recounted that in the 1970s the content and conduct of the day were carefully reviewed to avoid potential offence. The Devon and Cornwall Constabulary have taken video evidence twice and concluded there were no grounds for prosecution. Nonetheless, protests resurface annually. The day has now been renamed Mummers Day in an attempt to avoid offence and identify it more clearly with established Cornish tradition. The debate has now been subject to academic scrutiny. Other similar traditions that use the blackface disguise and are still celebrated within the United Kingdom are the Border Morris dancers, and Molly dancers of the East Midlands and East Anglia. Antiquities. Time Team visited Padstow for the episode From Constantinople to Cornwall, broadcast on March 9, 2008. Notable residents: Donald Raw, Cornish publisher, dramatist, novelist, and poet, was born in Padstow. He became a member of Gorseth Canal in 1970, under the bardic name of Scruffle Wednock. Rick Stein, restaurateur and celebrity chef, owns several restaurants and businesses in the town. Inez Tregarthen, author and folklorist. See also, Padstow lifeboat. References. Henderson, Charles. Padstow Church and Parish in, Doble, G.H. St. Petroc, a Cornish saint. 3rd ed. Wendron, the author. Pages 51–59. External links, Padstow at DMOZ, Padstow Tourist Information Centre, Charles Henderson, Padstow Church, its history and list of vicars, 1927, historical information on Padstow from Newquay, Padstow OCS, Cornwall Record Office online catalogue for Padstow.